The average Dutch man stands 182.9 centimeters tall. The average Sardinian man stands 168 centimeters. That is nearly 15 centimeters of difference, almost 6 inches, between two populations that both call themselves European, both descend from the same 3 founding ancestries, and both live on the same small continent. 15 centimeters doesn't sound like much, but in evolutionary terms, it is enormous, and it didn't happen by accident. Because when researchers began mapping the ancient DNA of Europeans against their skeletal remains, measuring femur lengths, tibia lengths, the precise geometry of bones that survived thousands of years underground, they found something extraordinary. This height gap is not modern. It is not a product of the Industrial Revolution or better nutrition or healthcare. It was already being written into European DNA over 4,000 years ago by a people who had never heard of Europe, who lived on horseback on the grasslands of Central Asia, and whose genes still run through your body right now. This is the story of why some Europeans are tall, why others are not, and why the answer reaches back further than any history book goes. Let's start with the data, because the numbers tell a clear story. The Netherlands leads at 182.9 centimeters. Denmark at 181.8. Norway 179.7. Sweden 179.6. Move south and the numbers fall, consistently. Spain averages 176.6 centimeters. Portugal 174.1. Italy 176.5. Greece 177.3. And Sardinia, that ancient island off the Italian coast, the most genetically intact Neolithic population in Europe, sits at around 168 centimeters, closer to East Asian averages than to its Dutch neighbors. The standard explanation is nutrition. Northern Europeans eat more protein, fish, meat, dairy, and that drives height. There is truth in this. Nutrition absolutely affects how tall you grow, but nutrition alone does not explain the gap. Studies comparing European populations with equivalent diets and healthcare still find significant height differences that track closely with ancestry. Twin studies consistently show that 80% of height variation between individuals is genetic. And ancient DNA research has now identified specific genetic variants, called polygenic height scores, that predict population-level height differences with remarkable accuracy. When researchers calculate the average polygenic height score of modern Northern Europeans versus Southern Europeans, the gap is real, persistent, and ancient. It did not appear with the invention of refrigeration. It was already present in the Bronze Age. The question is, where did it come from? History is full of moments where one group had an invisible advantage over everyone else. An edge that compounded quietly, over generations, until the gap became impossible to close. Before I show you exactly what that edge was, a quick word about a different kind of advantage. It's AI, not the hype version, the practical version. The people quietly learning how to use it are already pulling ahead. The people who aren't are falling behind. That gap is going to widen fast. A platform called Outskill has already helped over 10 million people across 100 countries go from AI curious to AI capable. This Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern, they're running a free 2-day live AI mastermind, 16 hours with practitioners from NVIDIA and Microsoft. Over 2 days, you'll get hands-on with 10 or more AI tools, master workflow automation, and build real no-code AI products. The people who've gone through this have shipped over 100 AI products and built revenue models generating $3,000 to $4,000. In 2 days, you'll walk away with over $5,000 worth of structured bonuses, an AI prompt Bible, a personalized toolkit, a roadmap to making money with AI, and their exclusive AI survival hackbook. And when it's done, you get lifetime free access to a community of over 5,000 professionals. 4.8 on Trustpilot, free for the first 1,000 people. Link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. All right, so where did the height gap come from? The first, Western hunter-gatherers. These were the people who inhabited Europe before farming arrived. Lean, mobile, adapted to a life of hunting and foraging. Skeletal analysis of their remains shows they were moderately tall for their era. European hunter-gatherer men averaged around 171 to 174 centimeters. Long-limbed, a body shape common in populations adapted to temperate climates. Their genetic contribution to modern Europeans is highest in Scandinavia and the British Isles, lowest in the Near East and Southern Mediterranean. The second, Anatolian farmers. Around 7,000 years ago, farmers from Anatolia, modern Turkey, swept into Europe, bringing agriculture, pottery, and domesticated animals. They largely replaced the hunter-gatherers across much of Central and Southern Europe, and they were, on average, shorter. Skeletal remains from early Neolithic farming sites consistently show a reduction in average height compared to the hunter-gatherers they displaced. Men averaging around 164 to 167 centimeters. The reasons are debated. Farming diets were less protein-rich. Disease burden increased with settled living. And the Anatolian farmers themselves carried fewer height-promoting genetic variants. Critically, Anatolian farmer ancestry is highest in southern Europe. In Sardinia, southern Italy, Iberia, Greece. Sardinians, who received almost no subsequent migration, preserve the most intact Neolithic ancestry of any European population. They are also today the shortest population in Europe. This is not a coincidence. The third, and most important population, came from somewhere else entirely. The vast grasslands stretching from modern Ukraine to Kazakhstan. They are known to archaeologists as the Yamnaya, and they were, by the standards of their time, remarkably tall. Skeletal analysis of Yamnaya remains shows average male heights of approximately 174 to 176 centimeters. Remarkable in a world where Neolithic farmers were averaging 164 to 167 centimeters. The Yamnaya were not just culturally dominant. With their horses, wheeled wagons, and early Indo-European languages, they were physically imposing, and they carried the genetic variants to match. Polygenic score analysis of Yamnaya ancient DNA reveals a strong loading of height-promoting alleles, genetic variants that, when inherited, push adult height upward. These variants were not present at high frequency in the Neolithic farming populations of Europe. They were a steppe signature. Beginning around 3000 BC, Yamnaya-related groups swept into Europe in one of the most dramatic demographic events in prehistory. In some regions, particularly Central and Northern Europe, they replaced existing populations so thoroughly that ancient DNA researchers describe it as a near-total replacement of the male line within a few centuries. The archaeological cultures they spawned, the corded ware culture in Northern and Central Europe, the bell beaker culture further west, spread Yamnaya ancestry across the continent. But they did not spread it evenly. Northern and Central Europe received the heaviest Yamnaya genetic input. Modern Northern Europeans, Scandinavians, Germans, British, Irish, carry 40 to 55% steppe ancestry in their genomes. Southern Europeans received far less. Modern Sardinians carry essentially zero. Southern Italians and Greeks around 15 to 25%. Iberians around 30 to 40%. The height gap between Northern and Southern Europe is, in large part, the height gap between high steppe ancestry populations and low steppe ancestry populations. The Yamnaya brought their height alleles west, and those alleles are most concentrated today exactly where Yamnaya ancestry is most concentrated, in the north. So let's go there, country by country, and watch the same pattern play out, written into bone, across the entire continent. Move north to the Netherlands. Europe's tallest population doesn't exist by accident. It sits at the intersection of three converging forces. Heavy Yamnaya ancestry, among the highest concentrations anywhere in Europe. A diet built on dairy and North Sea fish, rich in protein across centuries. And something rarer still, active, documented, ongoing selection for height. A landmark study using Dutch birth records revealed that taller men had more children, meaning height was still being selected for as recently as the 20th century. Evolution does not stop. The Dutch are an extreme case, but they are not alone at the top of the map. Scandinavia tells a similar story, but the mechanism is older. Just below the Dutch in stature, but not by much. The corded ware expansion hit these northern shores hard and early, delivering one of the heaviest concentrations of Yamnaya ancestry on the continent. Within Scandinavia, a subtle gradient exists. More isolated inland populations carry slightly higher hunter-gatherer ancestry, a relic of the peoples the corded ware absorbed rather than erased. But the steppe signal dominates. Centuries of protein from the sea and from pasture did the rest. Move west, and the picture becomes more complicated. England and Scotland tell one story. Bell Beaker expansion hit hard. Ancient DNA suggests up to 90% population turnover in some regions. Steppe ancestry runs high, heights reflect it. But step further west, into Wales and Ireland, and the story changes. Here, pre-steppe ancestry survived. The Neolithic farmer lineages that the Bell Beaker people erased almost everywhere else, they held on, along the Atlantic fringe. The result is a measurable gradient, written into stature, even within the islands themselves. The further west you go, the more Neolithic. The more Neolithic, the shorter. Two islands, two histories, one visible in bone. Back on the continent, the pattern reasserts itself, country after country, falling exactly where their ancestry predicts. Germany, taller in the north than the south. France, divided along the Loire, steppe ancestry above 42% north of it, below 40 to the south. Spain in the middle, the steppe arriving late and by a different route. Portugal at the far western edge of the Bell Beaker world, shorter still. The gradient holds, border after border. And then there is Sardinia. No steppe ancestry to speak of. The most intact Neolithic genome surviving anywhere in Europe. Average male height, around 168 centimeters, the lowest on the continent. Between the Dutch lowlands and the Sardinian highlands, 182.9 centimeters to 168, lies the entire story. The map doesn't lie. Environment shapes how much of your potential you reach. But the potential itself, that was set 5,000 years ago. So why are Northern Europeans taller? The answer begins not in a gym or a kitchen, but on the Pontic-Caspian steppe 5,000 years ago. The Yamnaya carried height-promoting variants that the farming populations of Europe did not possess. They spread those variants north and west. Northern Europe received the most. Southern Europe received far less, Sardinia received almost none. 5,000 years later, that ancient map is still visible. Written into bone, measured in centimeters. Your height is not just a number, it is a coordinate, on a map drawn by migrations you never knew happened, by people whose names we do not know. Where are you from? And does your height match the map? Drop it in the comments. The patterns people find are always extraordinary. The genome remembers all of it. If this is the kind of deep history that keeps you up at night, subscribe, because the story of where Europeans really come from is nowhere near finished.